Welcome to the Voice of St. Anthony Parish from Allston, Massachusetts, right here on WROL, 950 AM, 100.3 FM. You can also hear us at CatholicAudiomedia.com and your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget, come to our Mass on Sundays at St. Anthony in Allston, Massachusetts, stanthonyalston.org. Well, we're continuing our conversation with Father Patrick Fiorillo. Yesterday, we began our discussion of what he studied in moral theology. We're going to continue that right now. Father Patrick is the parochial vicar at St. Paul's Parish in Cambridge, Massachusetts, which also makes him the undergraduate student chaplain as well for the Harvard Student Center. So let's switch over to our interview, part 2, with Father Patrick. Sure. As we talked about earlier, you're talking to a broader audience than a Catholic. You're talking to people who are evangelical. Some of them are former Catholics. Some of them are thinking of coming back to the Catholic Church. So tell me a little bit about some of the authors, if you remember. I mean, you may not. Just, like any particular author that stuck out for you.
Oh, sure. I mean, the main course was kind of summarized by the teachings of the late Pope John Paul II. Right? Mm-hmm. So he was Pope between 1976 and 2003, I think?
It was, believe it or not, I can tell you this, it was 78 because he became Pope. 78, okay. Well, he became Pope when I was in boot camp in the Navy. And so that means the other Pope became Pope when I was in boot camp in the Navy. And I remember when they were voting for him the second time, and I didn't know because he didn't watch that much TV. I'm saying, gee, it's sure taking a long time to vote for that Pope. Because I didn't know. So that was 1978. And I was in boot camp August to October 1978.
Huh. Oh, there you go. I would have loved to have lived through that. I'm sure that was an incredible turn of historic events to witness.
That many people saw, but those of us in boot camp saw very little. Navy boot camp.
That's true.
So you studied a lot of, which obviously we didn't. You studied a lot of John Paul II. And he was obviously some of his encyclicals and some of his other writings.
Yep. He the main kind of the fundamental teaching of this whole course would have been his encyclical on moral theology called Veritatis Splendor, which is a Latin word for the splendor of truth.
Yes.
And so it's not that long, but that was kind of the guiding light of the whole course, where he was kind of calling the whole church, but especially bishops and priests and theologians, to this renewal of moral theology, which had gone through a couple generations of confusion and back and forth to different extremes, and he was just trying to call us right back to the middle and to a proper historically and well-informed vision of the person and the Catholic life in a way that really speaks to our modernity. That doesn't sound like it was written 200 years ago, but it's really speaks to us in our current situations.
It's fascinating because people may or may not know that all this material that the popes write is on the Vatican website.
Right. Yep.
And you can look up Pope John Paul II encyclical, and you can find Veritatis Splendor, along with all his 8,000 encyclicals. I'm actually exaggerating.
They are long. And
yes, he has so many.
Not
some
bedtime
of
reading.
Yes, but people may check those out and read those and stuff. Yep. Now, you are working over at Harvard, and I got to tell you, one of the experiences, first of all, I always tell people there were two parishes that are surrounded by Harvard. Where you are at St. Paul's, and it's very well known for the choir school, which is, I actually wrote an article about them when I was in the seminary. A great place where people learn, where students learn about the singing that they do at St. Paul's, and I think they're internationally known. And so you have St. Paul's. I'm at the other one, as you know, St. Anthony's in Allston, which is surrounded by the business school. So we both have that unique thing of being surrounded by Harvard. But what are some of the challenges? Because you work directly with some of the, not only parishioners in Cambridge, but also students at Harvard. What are some of the challenges you have coming from, if I have this right, Bow and Arrow Street, which is about 5 blocks from Harvard Station and the Harvard Coop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the obvious challenge, which I won't dwell on, but just has to be said. Of course, Harvard's a very secular place, and so everybody's coming in with a very secular mindset, not necessarily in a bad or hostile way to Catholicism or Christianity, but a mind that's formed more by narratives of more recent secular political theory and kind of views of the world and the human person. So, that's an obvious thing, but that's not, people assume when they ask me that question that Harvard is this kind of evil bastion of aggressive secularism. And the day-to-day experience of the students is actually not that. One student here actually wrote about this in an article that she published in a national outlet, and she pointed out very wisely that Harvard is a huge university, right? I mean, there's 6,000 undergraduates and about 20,000 graduate students. So
really,
the size of Harvard prevents it from being too radically secular in a way maybe some other smaller colleges might be. So the students don't. It's not like a felt kind of aggressive secularism on a kind of day-to-day relational level with the students. So from my perspective, really the most unique challenges of ministering to Harvard students and presenting the Catholic faith is actually two things: competition and time. Time being just these students are insanely busy, and they all know that. They'll admit that. If any of them are listening right now, they won't be offended by hearing me say this. We're all busy. Of course, today it's becoming a kind of mantra to say, I'm busy. Things are so busy. Social media and our phones and technology just makes our lives more hectic, right? That's for everybody. But that being said, the average Harvard student is a tier above your average busy person.
Really?
Because they have just so many opportunities presented before them, and they are there's like an unspoken expectation that you have to partake and make use of all these opportunities. And so your average student is heavily invested in multiple clubs on campuses, professional organizations, other social, cultural groups. So there's a huge competition among every group on campus for the students' time. And, what does that look like practically for me? And for our events here at the Harvard Catholic Center, no event is scheduled for more than 90 minutes.
Really?
Nobody will come. Yeah, I look at their calendars, and their Google calendars are more full than mine. And when my friends look at my calendar, they think, oh my gosh, this guy's busy, but nothing compared to these students. So,
sure.
So there's just a competition for time and attention. And of course, you can't, invest yourself fully in something, including faith, if you're not intentional about giving serious time to it. So that's a serious thing. And then also the competition, which, as you can imagine, Harvard being probably the most competitive college in the world to get into. I think the acceptance rate has gone down every year the past few years.
Really?
I think it was at 1 or 2% this past year.
Seriously? Wow.
Acceptance rate. Yeah, 40,000 applicants from around the world, or more. So, so they all come in here from the top of their high school, and so they are kind of at peak performance in high school, above their peers. But now they're here, and they have to, that sort of unspoken expectation that's often implanted in their hearts from other things in the world, perdures. And now I'm at the best, but now I have to be at the top of that. And that's hard.
A tremendous pressure that must be on them.
Yep, absolutely.
Wow.
So, that's kind of a big thing we try to emphasize a lot in our just one-on-one and ministry with the students and friendships to show that our identity, the peace that we all long for in life is not going to come from our identity and what we do and what we accomplish, but it has to be something deeper than that. that's not kind of dependent on others or how I compare to others.
You're listening to the voice of St. Anthony Parish from Allston, Massachusetts, right here on WROL, 950 AM, 100.3 FM. You can also hear us at CatholicAudiomedia.com. That's CatholicAudiomedia.com. So if you're enjoying this program, you say, hey, so-and-so would like this, let them know where to find it, Catholic Audio Media, or also looking into Catholic Audio Media, putting that in the search of your favorite podcast platform, see if it comes up, CatholicAudiomedia.com. In the meantime, we will be back tomorrow with part 3 of our interview with Father Patrick. Have a blessed day, and we'll see you then. You can now leave a message for us, which we can air and discuss on this program. Just call 617-297-7452. That's 617-297-7452. 617-297-7452. Feel free to call, leave a comment, a question, or even feedback, and we may play it on the air. I can discuss your comment or question as well, so give that a try. 617-297-7452, 617-297-7452. I want to call your attention to Catholic TV, which offers great faith-filled, family-friendly programming 24 hours a day. You can find your cable channel at www.getcatholictv.com, and you can watch online on the free apps or check out the YouTube channel. Daily Mass, Rosaries, the Divine Mercy Chaplet, and the Our Lady of Perpetual Help Novena are all available online and on demand. Check out CatholicTV.com. If you would like to support our program, please consider a donation to St. Anthony Parish in Allston, Massachusetts. There are several ways to consider this. One is to purchase any of our merchandise, which you can find at the shopping tab at CatholicAudiomedia.com. That's CatholicAudiomedia.com. There are coffee mugs there. There's also my latest book, Encounter Christ in Your Humanity, all of which you can find at the shopping tab at CatholicAudiomedia.com. You can also donate to the show directly through either the Donate tab, also at CatholicAudiomedia.com, or by sending a donation through the U.S. Postal Service with your questions and comments at 43 Holton Street, Allston, Massachusetts, 02134. That's St. Anthony Parish, 43 Holton Street, Allston, Massachusetts, 02134. Finally, the best way you can support our parish is to attend Mass on Sundays at 10 o'clock and be a part of our parish. We thank you for any support you would like to give to St. Anthony Parish in Allston, Massachusetts, the sponsoring parish for this media outreach to Catholics and other Christians in the WROL, WEZE, and podcast listening audience. In Cristo vivimos.